Things have been scary for the Chicago Bears, but they get even scarier for us right now. Happy Halloween, everyone. I know Clay forgot that it was Halloween today. Or is he dressed up as the guy from The Mask? He's just missing it right now. We are Bleav In Bears, the podcast. Appreciate you guys for jumping on, following us up until this point in the season. I am joined by media legend Marshall Harris from 670 The Score.
No legend here. I'm just out here trying to hold it down better than Matt Eberflus does at the end of games.
National superstar Marshall Harris. We are also joined by 9-year NFL vet, counted snaps because he certainly played in the NFL. None other than Clay Harbor. What up, man?
What's up, fellas?
Chilling, ready to get into this, man. It is Halloween. Things are going to get scary. So this, truth be told, might be a little bit more interesting than most. Clay, let's go ahead and get yours first, man. Truth be told, this is how we start the show each and every time. This is an opportunity for us to put out a feeler about our Chicago Bears, a conversation starter. And Clay's going to let us know what he got right now.
Truth be told, this is as close to a must-win as the Chicago Bears will have all year. When you look at the percentages since 1990, teams that are 5-3 versus teams that are 4-4, the 5-3 teams have a 63% chance to make the playoffs. The 4-4 teams have a 32% chance to make the playoffs. If you really want to make the playoffs this year, if you want to be in that tournament, and if that's your goal, I mean, maybe it's not your goal. Maybe it's just the development of Caleb Williams. Maybe it's just not to embarrass yourself again. I don't know. But if your goal is to make the playoffs, this game, Sunday, is as big as it gets. We're talking about 30 percentage points in a change here. Could you imagine if you're taking a test and one question change your grade 30 percentage points? You would study all day, all night for that question. This is a huge game, and it's as close to a must. I don't like saying must win. It's as close to a must win as there will be.
Especially when we know that there's going to be harder questions at the end of the test. Right, Marshall? We know that these questions right here, we should answer. We should get them right, especially because we know later on in the season that gets a little bit more difficult. I kind of cringe at the idea of a must-win game because it's so often used. But I think coming off of a game that you just had last week, like the Bears did against the Commanders, that's where it becomes a must-win, just to right the ship, just to remain on course and not deviate from where you guys are headed. Which was a successful season, right? Something that people felt good about going into next year. How it would end or how the playoffs might shake out if the Bears make it, that's to be determined. But in the present, it was feeling good, which was a different feeling for the Chicago Bears team. But Marshall, do you consider it a must-win situation?
I mean, I don't think it's must-win. I think it's a big factor, though. I mean, Clay said this is like when you get that pop quiz and there's only 3 questions in the pop quiz. If you miss one, guess what? Your grade just went down by 33 points. You know, that's what it feels like, according to Clay. But I'll say this: winning would do a lot to help Matt Eberflus's case right now. Winning would do a lot to put some faith back into what's going on in House Hall. And we don't know. I mean, Clay's been a part of some better teams, some bad teams, and so it's interesting to hear the things that were said coming out of that game, both from Matt Eberflus and his players. It seems like we are at a point where it can be a quick disconnect if things go poorly. I think that's the number one thing that I've taken away from not just the loss, but what was said after the loss, with players kind of openly questioning what's going on with the coaching. So if you get a win, listen, wins cure a lot of problems in a locker room. I think Clay agree with me on this. And so I think winning this game, even if you're saying you're putting lipstick on a proverbial pig, hey, at least the lipstick will make the pig look a little bit more attractive, at least for 1 week.
Yeah, got to be that. All right, truth be told, fellas, piggybacking off what we just talked about there, truth be told, Caleb Williams will get his first real road victory of his career on Sunday. And I just think that they have to. I mean, like you mentioned, it is a must-win situation. But I'm curious to see how a guy like Caleb Williams bounces back to that game specifically of the Washington Commanders, one where you played so poorly in the first half. You ultimately end up showing, you're the fourth quarter guy and put up 2 winning drives for the Chicago Bears. But I'm sure when you went and look back at the tape, you thought to yourself, I can't start that slow, nor can I have that performance as a total at the end of a game. So I think he's going to come back with more fire than anyone else. When I'm thinking about that team top to bottom, sure, there's going to be guys like Tyrique Stevenson, if he touches the field, that are going to be playing hard. But I really genuinely feel like Caleb Williams is going to be a guy that's going to put a ton of pressure on himself to make sure this Bears team is operating at a high level from the very beginning. And I think that's going to lead to his first true road victory of his career.
I'm not so sure. I know he's going to be probably better than he was in the first half, at least on Sunday when he put up 33 yards passing. They didn't score any points. So that's one way to look at it. But the Cardinals are a team that could give them problems because the Cardinals might play keep away from him if they're successful running the football, which we know is the Bears' biggest weakness on defense, is stopping the run. That's one thing the Cardinals don't do as well as they did maybe a year ago, but they're still a top 10 rushing attack. And Kyler Murray, he got them legs. He could do things with his legs as a dual threat quarterback. I think it's going to hinge on just how dominant the Bears defense can bend. We talk about bend, don't break. I think it's 11 for 11 the Cardinals are in the red zone this season. That's problematic for a Bears team that has been known to bend but not break. I think this will be their biggest challenge of the year as far as red zone is considered. So I don't know that I agree with you on that. It could be the truth, though. Maybe I just don't know. Sometimes I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah. Clay, what do you think, man, about Caleb getting his first road victory of the season?
I mean, it's like I said, it's a huge game, and I think they can do it. But you look at Matt Eberflus at the 12 o'clock games on Sunday. You guys heard this stat? At 12 on Sunday, he's 0-17.
No.
0-17 at 12.
12 o'clock games on Sunday?
12 o'clock games, normal 12 o'clock games on Sunday. The guy ain't won a game. And I know this game's, was it like the 3:25 kickoff because they're out west?
No, they ain't getting to 3:25 in a minute now. They blew it.
Wait, wasn't the Tennessee game, first game of the season, wasn't that at 12?
That was at home, no, right?
Oh, road 12 o'clock.
Yeah, road 12 o'clock game on Sundays, 0 for 17. So he's got to prove to me that he can win these games. These are important games. I don't know. When I think about that, I'm going, is there something up with their travel? Is there something up with their system, the structure of everything? Because that don't even sound right. When I was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, we won more than that on the road, and we didn't win much at all. I mean, there's something going on there. You don't have a good system for handling crowd noise offensively. So they need this. I think they can get it done because Caleb is different. He's a different quarterback than we've had in the past. So I'm going to take the Bears when we get to that point, but it's going to be a tough, close game that comes down to the wire.
Yeah, I don't know about your stat, Clay, because they're 3-17 on the road, period. We know the last game was not a noon kick. So I think they may be over, but I don't think they're 0 for 17 just because they lost at 3:25 for their 17th road win.
And as we know, I mean, in this season, and like most, every game matters, right? But check this out. We're not the only ones that feel that way. BetOnline feels that way also, all right? BetOnline has every stat, matchup, breakdown, and live odds to bet on during the game. BetOnline has you covered with the best odds, the biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. And, of course, basketball season kicked off. Marshall and I were watching the Bulls. Who was it? Were they playing? Oh, the Magic yesterday. I lost some money on that. Should have went to BetOnline to check out their stats. But it is that time of year again. The NBA is back. So from opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, BetOnline has you covered. And it's not just the NBA. BetOnline is odds on everything from football, MLB playoffs, NHL, even political props. So head to the website today to get in the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. That's BetOnline. The game starts here. Marshall, what you got for us with Truth Be Told?
Truth be told, Matt Eberflus was on the hot seat, and that hot seat's only going to get hotter with a loss. He's already on the hot seat. People are like, well, if they lose, yeah, he has a winning record and is already on the hot seat. That's the truth, because he seems like he might be losing the locker room. We had guys question his coaching staff, and him included in that. And then we had guys who said we shouldn't have said what we said, but we stand by what we said.
But I ain't lying, though.
Yeah, I'm not lying. So that's never good. That's never good. It's never good. I like that he's empowered his players and recognizes that in modern times it is a partnership. But Clay, you ever been in a locker room where guys were as open about what was going wrong with the coaching staff and the decisions that were made in the game as the Bears have been? Usually it's on me. We have to do a better job of execution.
Yeah, or ever been on a team where they fire somebody mid-season. What's that like? We don't know. I'm a Chicago fan. I don't know what that's like.
Yeah,
I've never been involved. I've never been involved in either, or in a firing. But honestly, I've never been involved with a team that's people are just talking so openly about the team like this. That is like rule number one in a locker room and for coaches. Coaches, like, he's being ran by the team, bro. You got to take over control here. I know you love this. You're talking about this culture, keeping it tight and in-house and all. Everybody's going out and talking. We're not talking about one guy, too, that was number 35 on the roster. We're talking about your entire leadership council going out and throwing you under the bus, just tossing you under the bus, booting you down there, rolling you right under that bus. What we should have did was this. And you know where this stemmed from? Was his lack of taking accountability. If Matt Eberflus goes out after the game and says, yeah, we probably should have pressed up the corners or played some type of sideline coverage on the Hail Mary, the play before the Hail Mary. If he goes out there and says, yeah, maybe we should have called a timeout before the Hail Mary. If he goes out there and says,
Kramer.
If he goes out there and say, this was probably the dumbest call in the last 20 years of Chicago Bear football, trying to hand Doug Kramer, our backup center, with his hands all taped up like this and his elbow pads and shoulder pads on, the guy that ain't even playing in the flow of the game, the ball. And if he goes out there and says all this and gets in front of it, do you think that anybody's going to go out there and continue to talk about it? No, because he already took accountability and he said he should have did it. There's no conversation.
Talking about it.
This all stems back to Matt Eberflus's lack of taking accountability. And the coaches I've been around, even Gus Bradley with the Jacksonville Jaguars, always took accountability. Go on a 4th down and 7. I remember we're all running off the field thinking we're about to punt. Next thing you know, we're staying on like, what are we doing? We call some terrible call and we get stopped inside our own 50. He takes accountability for that. He's not going to say, yeah, they were in the right places. We really should have got that 4th down. He knew the statistics. So the accountability to me was the problem, that the thing that stemmed all the gasoline. Even when you look at the national media, the get up takes on ESPN, talking about Eberflus, they weren't necessarily the play. Stuff happens. This is the NFL. But if you don't take accountability for it and keep doubling down, that's the stuff he was getting clowned for and made him look really bad.
Marshall, let me ask you this, right? You're on the score every day, and I think with that comment that Clay made, I heard that on the radio yesterday too from multiple outlets that, had he just came out and accepted the responsibility, that we wouldn't be talking about him in this manner. And as I'm listening to them say it, and even Clay right now, I'm like, if he would have came out and said, I should have called the timeout, or I should have been, this is why I'm asking you, Marshall, wouldn't you still have roasted him on the radio or in the media?
Yeah, but there's a difference between me as a media member roasting a coach versus players saying what they're saying. That's completely different. Yeah. He's going to be open to criticism from the media.
The player will let it go after that.
Yeah, the player. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what's going on at House Hall. And right now at House Hall, I think they're looking around like, you hear this guy? You hear this guy?
Winning.
Like,
and you're costing
you know what he says. You know what your head coach says to the media, right? As a player, you're aware, right?
Oh yeah, especially this day and age when it's so like in a game like that. All you turn on Twitter, that's all you're seeing. It's not like you have to go research the press conference. This stuff was everywhere, and they'll still see clips and people are Matt Eberflus says that the second play before the Hail Mary, the play before the Hail Mary doesn't matter. Like what? He's going to throw it 80 yards to the end zone? Matt Eberflus says it was just one of his goal line calls, and he doesn't regret making that call to Doug Kramer. What? It's like for those situations, you're like, DJ Moore. I mean, I didn't think we're going to make that call. Like, I don't know what we were thinking there. We practiced it. It looked good in practice. You know what else looked good in practice? The speed option. Okay, and did that work? No,
it doesn't. It doesn't work. And listen, I think that was my truth be told, but I have a second one, if you will. I can't call it truth be told because that's what it is.
Is it about the offense or the defense?
This is about a defensive player, but I don't care. I don't care that Tyrique Stevenson wasn't publicly admonished, if you will. I don't care. As long as they win the game Sunday, I Bleav he's learned his lesson. I think Yes. Would you like to see a stronger show of authority by Matt Eberflus? Sure, but I don't care as much as everybody else about, raking a player over the coals. Clay, do you care? Do you think Matt Eberflus should come out and say, this is what we're doing with our player? Or are you okay with him keeping that in-house as well?
Matt Eberflus don't take accountability. What makes you think he's going to hold Tyrique Stevenson accountable?
Wow.
No, I think as a player, that's unfair. You didn't take any accountability. He came on this press conference. He's like, yeah, and I do take accountability for what happened. What specifically? Because you've already declined to take accountability for the real things that lost this football game. But I'm with you, Marshall. I think he suffered enough, like embarrassment mentally and throughout the media. And what teams would do, say that happened in New England, my time in New England or New Orleans under Sean Payton or something like that. They're just going to play it in the team meeting, even if it doesn't get caught in the game, and you're going to have to watch that in front of your entire team and staff, right? And they're going to be like, who we will never do that, whatever. So this just took it a whole step farther. The entire nation saw this guy and was clowning this guy and saw what he was doing. So to me, he's kind of been punished already. And I know he came up and apologized to the team and had his talk with Flus, and I doubt he starts. They'll probably start Smitty, and then they're going to bring him in, and something like that will happen. But you can't bench him. Who are you missing? Yeah. Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon. No, he's got to play.
Yeah, yes, Smitty being Terrell Smith. So yeah, listen, that's all plausible, and that's fine. Win the football game. We can talk about the other stuff later.
Yeah, I want to stay on the defense. We'll go defense first here. And I just, when you look at Tyrique Stevenson, remember, this has been an issue since day one, right? Like, he was getting personal foul penalties his rookie season, and then he cleaned it up towards the tail end of it. And we all thought, as fans and media members, oh, okay, he's learned from those mistakes, and he is one of the better cornerbacks because of this. But what happens far too often with members of the Chicago Bears, players specifically, is that they do start feeling themselves. And Matt Eberflus is no different than these players, right? He gets a little swag. He starts feeling like he's good because the media is telling him they're great. Stevenson, the fans are telling them that they're great. That's what I meant to say. The fans are telling them that they're great when it comes to Tyrique Stevenson, when it comes to these players on the team.
Media member, but keep going.
Well, you're a little darker than most, Marshall. When it comes, you're a little darker than most when it comes to this. So it goes to life in general, but specifically with this squad, you're looking at. I'm saying, like, I just see it too often, right? In my whole entire life, I've seen players, I've seen coaches. They win a couple games, the fans start telling them the greatest thing ever, and then all of a sudden they start believing it, and they forget about what they actually need to be doing. And we saw that with Tyrique Stevenson. Playing on one of the better defenses in the NFL alongside one of the best cornerbacks. He's feeling himself. He feels like he's going to get paid in a second. He's cheering to the crowd. Like, it's like when somebody comes up in front, it's like that's the embarrassing moment that we're saying, okay, now he's turned the leaf. Like, I don't know. I like Tyrique, but he is someone that I feel like that's just who he is. That's how he plays. That's how he does. That's how he operates. And I can't imagine something like this really stopping him from being who
if that's the case, then he doesn't need to be on the Bears anymore. You need to figure out a way to move on from him. If that's the case, Clay, you would agree with that. If what Gabe just said is true, and this is who he is, and he can't correct his actions, and he can't correct the way he plays football, he's going to cost you more games in the future.
Yeah, because he's getting personal fouls, and he's not like some lockdown cornerback. You look at, I'm not a Pro Football Focus, like, means everything, but you look at Pro Football Focus, he's the lowest Bears defensive graded player on the entire team. Like, looking at him, he's given up a lot of yards and receptions, and it's a little bit unfair because he's playing across from Jalen Johnson, right? So he's getting all the targets, he's getting a ton of attention. But if you're Deion Sanders and you're this dude that will get some penalties and make a couple bonehead mistakes, I might be able to turn my head. And no, that's not fair. But life ain't fair. If you're a dude that's getting burnt a couple times a game and it's not that guy, and you're making mistakes and doing dumb stuff like this, you gotta go. I'm sorry. But hey, he's making plays. You ain't. I'm sorry. That matters. And if he don't pick up his play and show that he is a main cog, a shutdown corner, a guy that can really make a difference, which I think he's better than obviously his Pro Football Focus grade. And I think he's an average cornerback, but he's got to become an above average cornerback if you're going to go to bat for him.
coaches treat players fairly, but that doesn't mean they treat them equally. I mean, I
No,
hear that all the time.
exactly.
That's a good one.
Like your worth to this team is determined by your value to this team and what you've displayed on the field. So I completely agree with Clay on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Let me ask you guys this before we switch over to the offense. This is a team that shocked most by keeping the Commanders the #1 scoring team in the NFL, under 21. Bend don't break mentality. At what point does that get into your mind internally where you're holding these teams, but you're still losing these games? And how much do you think that affects these guys, especially going into this week against a capable Arizona Cardinals team? Marshall?
Well, I was going to let Clay go first on this
Oh.
because I think his thoughts supersede mine in having played the game and understanding what psychological advantage you have knowing, hey, our defense has got us.
Yeah, defensively, sometimes it can create dissension. I've been on teams where that's happened. Like I said, in Jacksonville, our defense was very, very, very much so ahead of our offense. We had a solid defense. Our offense was just terrible. Jed Fish, one of the worst offensive coordinators. Yeah, and he's the head coach of Washington right now. I don't even care. That guy was bad, man. I didn't what are
more offensive coordinator
calling, bro? Like awful stuff, bro. Like we're all like, what? Like we're just gonna run the play, but that was terrible. And sometimes it can create some dissension because the defense, like, dang, man, they went 3-and-out again. We tied the record for punts one game. And, I mean, when you start doing stuff like that, I mean, it really causes some friction between the units. But with the Bears, I think one thing the coaching staff has done is they've been good about having the team bought in. Like, listen, we have a rookie quarterback. This is a process. And the defense is always like, let's pick up the offense. And that's something I got to give credit to Matt Eberflus for and Eric Washington is the fact that they've done that and created that type of culture that they're going to bat for each other. I mean, maybe not the head coach, but it feels like for teammates that they are together. And it does create some dissension when you have a really, really bad offense, which is they're not really bad right now, and a really great defense. And then the other way around, if the defense can't stop anybody, you start like, man, like what are these guys doing over there? Can you just get a stop and we'll win this dang game? So there's always going to be some back and forth there, but the great teams keep that in-house and keep trying to pick each other up, even though there will always be a little bit of that, like, man, let's get a stop here, boys. Or can you guys at least get one first down? I'm tired. You guys just went 3-and-out again? The time of possession is 15 to 45. Like, let's go. So, yeah, there's always some of that.
I'll say this. I think with this defense, why they're going to be okay is that they understand they have a rookie quarterback. And when you understand the pitfalls of a rookie quarterback, there's going to be ups and downs. Certainly we saw one of the downs last week against the Commanders. I look for Caleb to bounce back. He was a guy who was actually accountable when he stepped up to the podium and said, hey, they asked him about the Hail Mary play and not calling the timeout and the way things were handled at the end of the game because he was one of the guys waving and trying to get Matt Eberflus's attention to get some things changed. He said, listen, that's really on the offense because I didn't do a good enough job at quarterback in the first half. We didn't score any points. You saw more and heard more leadership from Caleb Williams than you did from Matt Eberflus post-game and after the game, and even 3 days later on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that was pretty telling. But, again, just more things we love about Caleb Williams. Let's stick to the offense, fellas. You heard DJ Moore. You saw DJ Moore just be more vocal, not even just on the press conference and during the week, but even during the game. You saw him complaining to the cornerback a little bit, to the refs that they were holding him. I mean, just, again, more animated than you normally see DJ Moore. DeAndre Swift ended up doing his thing on Sunday, remaining consistent. But when you look at the pieces of this offensive line, right, that are in shambles at the moment, and you look at, this offense and still haven't figuring out its identity and still trying to figure that out, what are your expectations for Sunday? Better question. What do you think this offense is going to look like on Sunday against this Arizona Cardinals team after what's happened and then after this continued growth that we were supposedly seeing from this offense as well?
I'll be honest. I don't know. And maybe Clay has a good indication, but after that travesty of a performance, you would hope that Caleb Williams isn't as, whether it's nerves, anxiety, whatever it was that was causing him to sell all those throws, especially early in the game, you would hope they had that under control. But hey, we haven't seen this guy perform on the road in a good way. So I don't know that that's going to be the case. That's where we are with this team and this quarterback. Can you get it done on the road? They almost got away with one. Even if we're like, oh, well, they passed the test of beating the Commanders. Yeah, they passed if they got the win with a D+. That's not good enough.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I'll say this, Shane Waldron, when I was going back and watching the game, the play calling was similar to like the first 2 games of the season where they weren't leaning on the run early. Even first 2 possessions, I Bleav it was 1 run and 5 throws. And I'm just like, guys, I mean, I'm watching the Texans game. I'm watching the Titans game. Like, you're trying to make Caleb Williams this passer in the present. He can be and will be, but in the present, I think you got to make him a glorified game manager, one that's better than that and more capable. But you still have to come into the game with that mindset. Hey, we're going to run the ball. We're going to work it. If we get these tutties, then we do. It's not make Caleb throw the ball 40 times and we're going to be all right. And I think that's something that has to change in this thing. And, obviously everybody's calling for Waldron's head as well this week. But Clay, what do you expect this offense to look like against the Cardinals?
I
don't know what to expect, but I know they got to start faster. And here's the thing: when you go play an away game, I know you go to play these away games. You didn't see as much of that hurry up because it's hard with the crowd noise. Mm-hmm. When you're sitting at the line of scrimmage trying to bark out what you're doing, you can't hear 5 feet from you. So that's something that they really used effectively was that muddle huddle, and they did some of it. And obviously, you got to know the signals if you can just transfer that to signals, but you still got to be able to get the protection to the offensive line. And then you're seeing a lot of the stuff on the TV copy now. You're hearing a lot of the stuff, so you would have to change your calls. It just makes it really difficult when you're on the road and you're trying to do that hurry up that Caleb Williams has been reacting so positively to. So that's an issue. And then when you got young offensive linemen, I don't know who's playing. The injury report just looked awful. Yeah. I mean, who's it going to be? Borum? Is Nate Davis going to be in there? Is Tevin back? I mean, Coleman Shelton's playing. I mean, who's, obviously Darnell Wright's healthy at least. So we're going to see who's playing here on this offensive line. But
going to be a lot of bubble screens. Going to be a lot of
Larry Borum's got to play left tackle.
Yeah, you cannot put in somebody that's not played left tackle.
Kieran Amagaji's hurt as well. At least he was on he didn't practice.
I meant right tackle. I meant right tackle. Obviously, you're going to have Darnell Wright on one side and Larry Borum on the other.
So you want Darnell Wright to play left tackle. You got to leave Darnell Wright on right tackle, and you got to move Larry Borum to left tackle because he's your swing tackle. But what I was saying is it's going to be much more difficult for a guy like Larry Borum coming in on a road game on silent count. I always hated playing against really loud crowds, and in Philly, all these crowds were super loud. In Jacksonville, they really weren't because they were usually beating us by so much. But you can't get off on the snap count.
Let me offer this though, Clay. I think it's going to be a more friendly environment than we're imagining because it is Arizona, and there's going to be a huge Bears fans there because Bears fans live there. First of all, there's a lot of Chicago snowbirds that are going to be out there.
Sounds good, but I'm still not sold. It ain't going to be a crowd noise situation. But the team 3-1 in their last 4, 2-0 in their last 2. They got Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray who's back. I think there's still going to be a good
drive. They're gonna pump noise in there the same way the Texans did.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, I go on a road trip every single year, and the tickets to the Arizona Cardinals game were the most expensive out of any road game that the Chicago Bears had, for the reason that Marshall pointed out. There's so many Bears fans there. The demand is so high. But to your point, Clay, as well, Cardinals fans want to stay, obviously driving up the price. But it is going to be interesting to see what it looks like. But again, at that Texans game, there was like 40% Bears fans there. And,
so loud.
But they were pumping in the noise. You could hear it coming from the speakers. It was so, I mean, that's the home field advantage that you're talking about. All right, but let's get to this final 5, fellas. And before we do that, I just want to remind everybody, if you're looking for a top tier hat, you're running outside, you're doing all the sports stuff, maybe you're just running around with your kids, Melon is the hat you got to pick up. It's built to last 5 times longer than any other hat. It got natural antimicrobial properties, so sweat doesn't break down the hat like we're so used to seeing. It's built for water. That's the sweat I'm talking about, unless you're some triathlete like Marshall Harris is. They don't lose shape, but if you take them in the water, they also float if they're dropped. So don't worry about that on my fishing heads that are out there. It's the most comfortable fit. They got a snapback if you want it. They got different shape options to match everyone's styles. and head. And again, when you go to the website, I mean, I know we have our blue and our beige, which is the classics, but they have so many cool ones too. So Clay, I know you got a big head with some big hair, but I'm sure they got the nice little snapback for you. The Fit Finder on the site as well. Make sure you check them out. If you're looking for the world's most durable hat, look no further. Go to melon.com. That's MELIN.com to put it to the test yourself. All right, fellas, before we get to predictions, who is the one Bears player, offense or defense, that you are going to be watching closely on Sunday? Marshall, I'll start with you.
I think for me, it's got to be DJ Moore. They need a DJ Moore game. He didn't get much done, and he's got to be the number one guy for Caleb Williams if Caleb Williams is going to get on track. He's a big play receiver, and he's got to be put in a position to make big plays. When Caleb Williams sees him in single coverage, he's got to throw him open and or put him in a position to win his battle. But they have to have the threat of explosive pass plays. And I think DJ Moore, because of what he can do after contact, is the prime candidate to really make a difference in this game.
Clay, who is the Bear that you're going to be watching closely on Sunday?
I got two, but my first one is the less obvious one, and that is Cole Kmet, right? He's going up against one of the best tight ends in the league. To me, this is an underrated tight end battle on both sides here. You got two tight ends that are underrated, but are, in my opinion, top 5 tight ends. Trey McBride's a dude. You watch him play, he's got great hands. He runs good routes. He's got a really good feel for the tight end position. And then we love Cole Kmet, but you didn't hear him get any targets last week, man. I know, obviously, when you have 33 passing yards in the first half, 132 in the game, it's hard to get a lot of people off. But I want to see you get the ball to your big tight end early and often and let him be your safety blanket, get some easy completions to start the game, a stick route, a little sit route, over the ball, hit him with that Hank route. There's just so many things you can do, easy completions to throw to your 6'6", 270-pound tight end who's a big target. And then I'll be honest. I want to see what Tyrique Stevenson, how he responds. I mean, the mental warfare that he probably had to go through this week with the media, the people. He probably got so much hate mail, messages, and then his team talking in front of the team, people looking at him funny. People probably ain't even looking at him funny. And he's like, are they looking at me funny? This guy's going through a lot right now. So I want to see how he reacts to that. That's difficult as a player, man. I've had bad games where I dropped a pass here or there. You come back next week and you're like, is this dude really, is he giving me some shit right now? Some stuff, I mean? Anyways, I
get it.
I want to see how he reacts and responds and comes back out there. And he's got a big ass this week. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a player, and he's going to be tough to stop.
I hope, guys, he's not doing any reacting to anything from the crowd.
That's what I'm saying, right?
That would be a tell.
No trash talking. No trash talking at all. All right, the one guy I'm going to be watching closely is going to be TJ Edwards. He caught a little bit of flack last week, especially that first play that Jaden Daniels juked him out of his shoes to get the first down on 3rd and long.
Sometimes you get got.
Sometimes you do get got, especially with guys like that. But Kyler Murray is a guy that can get you as well, as is James Conner. And those are two guys that are going to be, obviously moving the pocket, getting out of the backfield. And you're going to need a wily veteran out there to put in work to stop those guys. I also want a Tremaine Edmonds interception. You were talking about you want a DJ Moore day. I want a Tremaine Edmonds day. I want to tackle for a loss with a fumble. I want a big hit. I need something.
He had a solid game, by the way, last week.
He did, and that's why I didn't mention him. But I want him to step up in a way to be that true leader on that defense, to just kind of have that pivotal moment. He be the person that's responsible for that. All right, final score predictions, fellas, before we get out of here. Marshall.
Let Clay go first.
I can't deal with Marshall Harris right now. All right,
I'm
Clay,
going to go 24-20. The Bears.
Marshall, that was quick. Right back to you.
All right.
I'm going to say, you want me to give you some more time?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to say it's going to be 31-28 Bears. Ooh-wee!
Breaking that 21-point streak, too, like that, huh?
Kyler Murray's just going to be that dude. I think Trey McBride's going to be a problem. James Conner's a problem. I think that their offense is going to be a problem.
I'm going to say 24-21 Bears.
What was that? Can you say it again louder in the microphone, please, for the people?
Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to say 27-24 Bears. 27-24 Bears.
Okay, so no over the 21 mark as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Why
think
are you
Kyler
so disappointed in
Kyler
your
Murray's too good. And Matt Eberflus got too much dip on his chip.
Yeah. Okay. Jane Daniels too good too, but they still held him under 21.
He looked nervous though. They got to a point where he looked nervous under center, and you're like, ooh.
Don't forget, Jaden Daniels was out here playing with bad ribs and still lighting them up.
Oh yeah, he looked like it. Slow him down.
All right, guys. Hopefully, we'll be talking about the Bears' victory. Hopefully, the seat will get less hot for Coach Eberflus. Hopefully, Tyrique Stevenson will keep his cool. I think there are multiple things that we'll be watching closely in this game, but more importantly, we just hope that the Bears walk out with a dub on this one so we can have a nice, happy pod on Monday. All right, guys, we appreciate you for listening. Check us out wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, whatever it might be. Like I say, download us, follow us, so that way you can get your alerts as well. We can take care of you, all right? So for Marshall Harris, who you can catch weekdays 10 to 2 with Dan Bernstein and Layla Brahimi on Tuesdays and Wednesdays on 670 The Score. It was a pleasure talking with you today, sir.
Yes, pleasure was all mine. Hopefully we have a happier tones next week.
Yeah, hopefully we do. Also, Clay Harbor, you can catch him 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Chicago on the Big Pro Football Show. Clay, I hope you're right, bro. I hope the Bears are putting some big points up against this Arizona Cardinals team.
I am too, man. I hope so.
All right, guys. Bleav in Bears. We out.